Greetings, blender enthusiasts. This is Head Blend Master Coach Scott Black. How you doing today? Well, today we're going to make hummus. Now, there are many flavors and varieties of hummus that you can make, and you can make raw or cooked hummus as well. And what I mean by that is you can take hard garbanzo beans and soak them. Now, garbanzo beans need to be soaked a long time, 24 hours or more, before they can be blended into a good hummus. That stated, you can use canned or cooked hummus, chickpeas rather, and that's what we're going to do today. So the recipe that I'm using is fairly basic, straightforward, and to the point. But again, there are many different varieties and flavors that you can do in hummus out there. And some of you may be hummus experts, so shout out and tell me what your favorite hummus recipe is. All right, so starts with tahini or sesame seeds. So I've got some fresh sesame seeds here. I actually have about 1 cup, and I'm going to use about 3/4. Actually, I have about 3/4 cups, so that's what I'm going to use. A recipe typically calls for about 1/4 cup of tahini, which is already ground sesame seeds. So I'm using fresh, so I'm using a little more. Now, also, I've got 2 cans of pre-cooked hummus. This is about 30 ounces of chickpeas. So I said the word hummus, I apologize. So this is about 30 ounces of chickpeas. For every 15 ounces, reserve back about 1/2 cup of water, or use 1 can of water when you're using canned chickpeas. Okay. So now a little bit of garlic. So 1 clove of garlic. If you like a heavy garlic taste, you can certainly put more, but for this recipe, 1 clove. And I find lemon works really, really well. Usually it calls for lemon juice. But again, because we are using a high-speed blender, it's going to be able to blend the fiber, and it's going to be even a little more tangy, and that's how I love it. So 1 whole lemon, or juice from 1 whole lemon. Now a little bit of salt. This is sea salt. I try not to use table salt, but it calls for anywhere from 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to put 1/2 teaspoon in. I will reserve the other 1/2 to see if I need any extra sodium. And in this case, this is a sun-dried hummus. So I'm using some sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaked in herbs and olive oil. So again, I will use the olive oil from this because a hummus recipe typically calls for oil anywhere from 1 to 3 tablespoons, depending on where you're actually getting a recipe from. So I'm going to use this herb-infused oil along with the sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, so that's about 1/2 bottle. I'll stay there. Actually, let's go for it. Let's do the whole bottle. So I have 8 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes. This is going to be a big batch of hummus. It's going to be really tasty, really flavorful. Okay, so in summary, once again, we're making hummus. I have loaded about 1/2 to 3/4 cup of sesame seeds. If you have tahini, which means already ground sesame seeds, then you only need about 1/4 to 1/2 cup. I have put in roughly 30 ounces of chickpeas. These have been pre-cooked. You can also soak your chickpeas. I have about 1/2 cup of liquid. My liquid came from the canned chickpeas that I'm using. By the way, my chickpeas are organic. I have used 1 whole lemon, but you can use lemon juice as well. 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 8 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes, which gave me also about 2 tablespoons of soaked herb olive oil. 1 thing of garlic, 1 clove of garlic, and that's going to make a nice tasting hummus. Now, not all blenders are going to be able to do this. You might need a food processor, so just keep that in mind. Blendtec, a Vitamix, a Ninja may be able to do this, and I'm not sure about the NutriBullet, so just be careful not to burn your blenders out when making this hummus recipe. Total spin time, by the way, on this is roughly 2 to 3 minutes, and it's best to be able to have a tamping device like the Vitamix has. Otherwise, you'll need to stop and start to get things off of the side. But keep that in mind, whichever blender you may have. So, that's spun for about 95 seconds, maybe to 3 minutes, I believe. I had to use the tamper quite a bit, but in the end, it came out with something that looks like hummus. So let's see what it tastes like. And as usual, it tastes great. This one's a little heavy on the tomato, as you can imagine, with me using the full 8 ounces. If you don't like such a tomatoey taste, then pull back to maybe 4 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes. But either way, it's delicious. Wow, that's going to be amazing. People are going to love it. So this is Head Blend Master, Coach Scott Black, wishing that you become a blend master. Blend smoother, blend with greater diversity, blend faster, and become a blend master. And above all, keep on blending. Cheers.